Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Domestika Live, broadcasting today from Tel Aviv in Israel. Today I'll be your host, Dot Lung, aka the mother of social dragons. I'm a social media strategist working with brands around the world. Today, my mission here is to empower creatives to take over the world. And today's topic is Instagram story sales. So let's go ahead and get started. Barbara, turn on the screen. Perfect. So welcome everyone. How are you guys doing? Let me know in the comments where you guys are tuning in from. I want to see your countries and I want to see what you guys want to learn about Instagram today. Our focus, particularly for this live session, is going to be all about how we can create effective Instagram story sales posts. So I'm really excited to share with you my 3 formulas on how to create effective Instagram stories. So let's get started, shall we? Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you're ready to go. Make sure you got your pencils out so you can take note, or pens. I see we have people from Argentina, Bangladesh. Hi, Esther. Hi, Norma. About everything's in the house, Esther. Awesome, you guys. From Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So great to have all of you guys join me today. I want to thank you so much for your attention, and I hope that you will find this session really valuable for your social media strategy in 2021. So hello again, my name is Dot Lung. I'm the mother of social dragons. I've been working in social media marketing for the past 10 years with brands internationally all around the world in all 7 continents, believe it or not. So I know a thing or two when it comes to Instagram. And Dot is actually short for Dorothy, and Long means dragon in Mandarin. And 10 years ago, I actually left my life in Los Angeles and packed up all my things and moved to Barcelona to make my dreams come true. And on this journey, I discovered that I could get paid to travel the world and make a living doing Instagram. Is that incredible or what? So I basically hacked the system, and today I want to show you how. And they don't call me the mother of social media dragons just because my last name is Lung. I actually created a formula called the Dragons Formula that enables you to skyrocket your social media and business growth. And this is what I call the Dragons Formula. You can learn all about it in my Domestika course, Instagram for Business Growth. And we'll review very quickly what the formula is, but I want to share with you a organic Instagram post that I created that literally generated $100,000 worth of sales in just one organic post. And I really was just sharing my story in a simple Instagram post where I said, I'm just a California girl living the Mediterranean dream coast to coast. As a little girl growing up in LA, I saw myself as a world traveler and dreamed of living in Europe so I can meet all kinds of people from all different countries. This is one of my most favorite things to do. So it's really exciting to connect with all of you around the world. But after 7.5 years of living in the magical state of Barcelona, I decided to pack up and move on to my next chapter across the Med and officially move just last year to Tel Aviv, Israel. So this post actually generated a conversation in my Instagram DM While I just moved to a foreign country, while I didn't know how to speak Hebrew, I didn't have any contacts, and brought me an amazing client that I'm still working with today. And this is the power of Instagram. It is absolutely pertinent that you take advantage of how to attract the right people and how to generate conversations and dialogue with your community. So I want to show you this today. Here is basically a quick outline of what we're going to learn. I want to teach you very quickly the 6 elements of the Dragons formula. It's just a brief highlight for those of you that haven't taken my first course already. You can learn more in detail in the Instagram for Business Growth course on Domestika. And the second thing I'm going to teach you is how to optimize your Instagram highlights for sales. And the third thing we're going to take a look at are the Instagram story sales sequences. So I'm going to teach you 3 different sales sequences that you can use for Instagram stories. So give me a thumbs up if you're ready to get started. I'm going to teach you the basic sales cycle of Instagram. So first of all, the first stage is when you are attracting people onto your page. The second part is when you are nurturing them, you're engaging with them, you are getting to know each other. And the third part is when you actually convert them into buyers. So these are 3 basic stages of why we're on social media. If you're like me, we're actually on social media for business. Yes, I love hanging out with you and I love, building community and being connected. But one of the main important things of why we are trying to get more followers and build an audience and attract people to our page is so that we can actually sell people our offers and our products and our art and our designs and all the amazing things that you guys do. So here is what I call the dating game. So before you ever even get into doing business on social media, you have to get really good at dating. So dating, is when you're getting to know a guy or girl and you're moving along the stages of the funnel. So at the top of the funnel, this is where we are attracting cold audiences, new people that we don't know. And then we move them to the middle of the funnel. And after we warm them up a bit, we can start actually selling. So you're going to need to be thinking about how you're going to make content for the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom. So this is what I call the tofu, mofu, bofu sales funnel, because who doesn't like tofu? And essentially, you can think of the sales funnel exactly like how you think of dating. Nobody should be asking you to marry them on the first date, right? So you probably don't want to ask somebody that you don't even know to buy something from you on the first date. You actually need to get to know each other, have maybe a glass of wine, some conversation, then maybe we can move into the second stage for a kiss, and slowly and slowly and slowly. So this is actually what I truly believe social media is all about. Social media is all about making people fall in love with you, fall in love with your brand so that they want to marry you. And this is what I'm going to teach you how to do. And this is what the Dragons formula is all about. So for those of you that are new, the Dragons formula is 6 very important elements that you need to incorporate into your content strategy. This is the content that will fill the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and ultimately the bottom of the funnel with your sales content. So for the purposes of this live today, we're only going to be talking about the bottom of the funnel. So if you want to learn how to create content for the top and middle of the funnel, make sure to sign up for my Domestika course, Instagram Strategy for Business Growth. Other than that, you need to know the Dragons formula. The Dragons formula is dialogue, relatability, authenticity, giving value, opinion, and niche. These are the 6 core elements that need to be utilized when you want to generate the S in the dragon. And the S in the dragon is all about sales. S is for sales and for scaling your sales and conversions. So if you learn how to use the dragon's formula right, you will be able to convert your followers. Here is a little worksheet. If you guys want to go to bit.ly/dots dragons, all in lowercase, I have a simple worksheet that you can fill out that might be able to help guide you through your entire social media strategy for 2021. So if you need a little bit help, you want to have a worksheet while we're going through this course, feel free to go to bit.ly/dots dragons and fill out the Google form. So before we dive into the Dragon's formula, I want to know, Barbara, if we have any questions from the audience so far. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them during the live. So make sure to take down as many notes and write your questions, because I will be answering as many of your questions that I can during our live session today. Sounds difficult. 952 design, it is not difficult at all. I'm going to break it so easy for you that you're going to be an expert. I'm going to make you an expert at how to create Instagram story sales content. So let's move on to the basics of the Dragon's formula. Just a very top line review. D is for dialogue, because everything in the Dragon's formula starts with a conversation. Social media is a two-way street, so the more conversations you actually have, the more conversions. So make sure you are responding to your comments. Make sure you're jumping into the DM to have dialogue with your engagers and your community. Because I want you to remember, good personal brands are nothing more than good problem solvers. Most people make money by solving a problem. So what problem are you solving? And if you want to figure out how you're going to be creating a dialogue, you need to figure out how you're going to position yourself as the expert. So what I want you to do as a quick exercise is generate a list of 30 pain points or 30 problems that your ideal clients or people that you want to sell to are having, and how can you actually provide them a solution to the problems that they're having. So create a list of these 30 pain points. This will actually guide you to what your content pillars are. So, for example, in my content strategy, I talk a lot about Instagram. Okay, so Instagram strategy, Instagram branding, and Instagram design. I solve these problems for my ideal clients, and these are my main content pillars. So what are the content pillars that you're creating for your strategy? Because once you know your content pillars, this is the dialogue and the conversations that you will only talk about. Not only, but these are the conversations that you're going to be focusing about and positioning yourself as the go-to expert, because you know everything about these content pillars. The second element in the Dragon's formula is all about relatability. Relatability is about being human. So you want to remember, we're on these social media networks because we're trying to make human-to-human connections. And if you took my Domestika course, you'll know that relatability is all about being likable. So if you want to be more likable, you've got to be more relatable, which makes you more personable. And when you are able to, create relatable content, this is going to make your content evergreen, which means people will be able to engage with it more than just the first couple hours, more than just a day. It will actually be fed. It'll actually have more of a virality factor, so that it can be fed into the news feed longer and in more places and in more people's feeds for an extended amount of time. So to create relatable content, you want to use storytelling. The third part of the Dragon's formula is all about authenticity. This is making sure you are truly being the real you. You want to lean into who you truly are and not try to copy anybody else's personality or strategy or fake it till you make it. That's not going to work on social media. So if you're making that mistake, or if you're not being who you really are, you're losing a lot of potential fans that you can be attracting, because at the end of the day, your vibe attracts your tribe. So the more you're able to be the real you and share the real you, the more real fans you're going to get. The worst thing that could happen to you is getting fake fans and the wrong type of followers. Those are the followers that aren't going to be engaging with your content, that really don't care about you. So that's why authenticity is important. And when you show up as yourself online on social media, you're going to eliminate the competition, because there's nobody else that can be you. And if you're an artist, you should be an expert at knowing exactly what your personal brand stands for and how to actually share that with the world. The most important element of the Dragon's Formula is the G, and that's all about giving, okay? Giving value is something influencers really know how to do. So there's a thing called the law of reciprocity, where when you give value, you're going to actually get more attention. So you will not only just get more attention, but you'll actually increase your influence, because you are giving because you are a giver. So because social media is a value exchange, the more you give, the more you actually get. So the more conversations you start, the more conversions you will have. The more you interact with your fans, the more engagement you will actually get. So do not forget all about the law of reciprocity and giving as one of the main elements, because at the end of the day, your brand is not about you, okay? Your brand should be about the people and the problem that you're going to solve in service to other people. And even as an artist, you are solving problems for the world. So think about how you can make people's lives better. How can you live in service to others? This is how your social media should reflect of how you can actually use social media in servitude to your ideal clients. So when we're thinking about giving, we can use the law of the 3 E's. We want to make sure we're educating, we're entertaining, and we're engaging. I want to move on now to the 5th element of the Dragon's Formula, and this is all about sharing your opinion. This is sharing your point of view. This is sharing your values and beliefs. Because if you don't share your values and beliefs, it's going to be very hard to attract the right people into your community. Because at the end of the day, whenever you post a piece of content that shares who you really are or your true values and beliefs, you're going to attract your true hardcore fans and repel the people that don't actually belong. So it's important to really share your point of view to attract and repel the right people. And lastly, one of the most important elements as well is knowing what your niche is on social media, especially on Instagram. So your niche simply is the specific problem you solve for a specific person. And you can use my niche formula. It's on the bit.ly/dotsdragons if you want to figure out how to actually find your niche, at least the way that I was able to find my niche. So there you have it. Niche is all about who are you talking to, because when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And if you target everybody, you target nobody. So make sure you know exactly who your niche is before you start selling to them. So here's the formula. We use Ikigai, and you can get that on the sheet. And I want to emphasize, when you're out there doing social media and you're trying to market yourself or trying to sell your products, at the end of the day, marketing is about being at the top of someone's mind. So when somebody thinks of your niche, You want them to think of you. So this is why we are creating content and creating content that serves and gives so that we can remain at the top of mind when somebody thinks about us as the go-to expert in your industry. And then when we talk about sales, sales is actually when you have generated this top of mind awareness and you need to actually serve the people that you've attracted into your funnel and really help them take the next step with you. So when you think about doing sales and, we usually think about like icky salesmen, you really should think about sales as serving your ideal clients, as coming from a place of service. And this is actually what sales is. Sales is serving. So if we want more sales, we need to be able to serve more. So in conclusion, once you have your 3 Ps, you know what the purpose is of why you're on social media, you know your people, you know your niche, and you know the platform that you want to be using, you can start creating content. You can start using the Dragons formula and creating that top of mind awareness and top of funnel awareness for your dream community and your dream clients. So before we move into actually creating and generating sales, I want to make sure that your Instagram bio is actually perfect, because it's going to be hard to get people to engage and move forward and build a relationship with you if it's not clear. And a lot of us have really hard time. So I want to share with you this 4-part bio recipe that you should make sure you have in your Instagram bio. The first is, who are you? Okay, this is going to actually be in the Instagram handle. It can be in the handle or it can be in your name, shouting out exactly what you do and who you are. So in my Instagram, I don't even tell people what my real name is. Nowhere on my Instagram says my name is Dot, except in the handle. In my Instagram, I just say I'm the mother of social dragons. So that's who I am. The second is, how can you help me? Okay, so what is it that you can actually do for me? Who is it for? This is where you yell out your niche. And then the 4th element is actually having a call to action. So you need to make sure you are driving all of your Instagram traffic either to your email list, to your landing page, to an ebook, to something that you can actually collect their data so that you can continue building a relationship with them over time. Because remember, when we're on Instagram, we're on rented land. And social media is rented land. The only thing that you're going to own is actually your email database. So make sure you have a call to action to funnel them either to your website or your email database. So here's my Instagram bio. I say, I'm Dot, mother of social dragons. I help rock stars, misfits, and rebels. So there's my niche. My niche is rock stars, misfits, and rebels. It's very specific who I want to work with. And I help them create a global social media presence. And my call to action is join the Social Dragons family. And you can click the link in my bio to join. So I want to make sure you have the perfect bio before we actually move into generating sales content. So Barbara, let me know if we have any questions so far that might need answering. Oh, the link is not working. Okay. How can we give personal value to our brand without showing ourselves? Emergentes, this is a really great question, and it's literally so funny you ask me about this question, because I was literally preparing an Instagram post to address this exact thing, because it was so difficult for me to begin my Instagram journey because I was scared to show myself, right? So emergentes, let me know if you feel a little bit overwhelmed and shy and possibly even a little bit insecure about putting your face on social media, because I really suffered from that a lot. And it took me, I swear to God, it took me like 8-10 years to like really start to put my face out on social media and being comfortable with that, because I know for us creatives and artists, we really are introverted. So when we're talking about sales and being, in front of the, Instagram stories camera, it can be very intimidating. So I have a formula that I'm going to share with you, and you can use it in multiple ways. If you don't want to use, direct to camera, you don't have to. I'll show you a couple examples. Okay. So 952 Design says, if you don't have a very specific client, you just want to show your art. So yeah, even as artists, if you're an artist, you have a personal brand. Okay. So you don't have to, you can just show your art. But if you want to grow faster, especially in the social media space where everything is, we are inundated with so much advertising, so many posts and so many people. How are you going to be memorable? People will remember your art if it touches them emotionally. But something that they'll also remember is your story. So I'm coming out with a new Domestika course that's all about, building your personal brand story and how to use storytelling for your personal brand as an artist, as a creative, and what type of posts you actually need to be creating. Because yes, you can just show your art, but you need to actually be very strategic in how you create your content if you're just going to be showing your art. I do highly recommend, as a professional, my recommendation is to be comfortable with getting to show your face, getting to show you working behind the scenes, because this is how you're going to build a relationship. People don't build online. People don't build relationships with logos and digital assets. People build relationships human to human. So the more you can show your human side, the more chance and opportunity you will get to really build friends and a community of supporters that love your art. So I want to jump in now to how we can actually sell to our community. So if you already have fans, if you already have people that are engaging with your content, you can try some of these formulas that I'm about to share with you into your Instagram stories strategy. Janine says, I am an artist and I heard people want to see who made it. Absolutely. And actually, I'm working on an art project. It's at mixtiles_art, where my main role is to actually feature artists. So, because I know that this works, right? People want to get to know other humans. So yes, we love your work. We think it's amazing, but how do I actually buy something from an artist is if I know who they are, it's going to make me want to buy their work and support them even more when I actually know them as a human being. This even happened to me today. Like literally I haven't posted in my stories, but after this live, I'm going to start updating my stories about, how I just met an artist, a porcelain artist today, and getting to know her human to human made me want to support her work even more. So I do encourage you to share your story, share your voice, because that's your role as an artist in society, is to share your voice, your opinion, your point of view. And this is why I want to support you. And I'm here because I believe in artists and creatives so much. And I believe in you guys sharing your vision. And most of you, and even I was very shy and very introverted, but this is a moment now, especially, as we've seen with the pandemic and 2021, like this is your time as artists, as creatives, is to share your opinion, share your art, and share who you are with the world, because art is what creates culture, and culture is what drives our future forward. So I encourage, every artist listening or every creative here to share their story. Okay? So let's get into the juice of it. We've been going live for over 30 minutes, and I want to get to the formulas that I prepared for you for your Instagram stories. So let's get into how we actually generate and monetize our Instagram account, because you can have the most beautiful Instagram feed. It can be the most beautiful, perfectly pixel perfect with all the right brand colors. But if you don't actually tell people what you're selling and why it's important, it's going to be really hard to create a business and be profitable. So I want to show you the top converting sales sequences. So we took a look at something similar earlier, where we're going to take our cold leads and heat them up. When they're cold, they're reaching us. They're people that don't know us, that might see us in the discovery through our feed post, probably through Instagram Reels. So if you're an artist, get on Instagram Reels. I can't say this more enough. Get on Instagram Reels, do time lapses, making hub behind the scenes, so that you have more organic reach. You're going to have more of a chance to show up into the feed, into the discovery, to attract new people onto your page. Once they do get on your page and they're starting to follow you, when they start to follow you, and you can warm them up with stories. Stories is actually the place where people are seriously interested in you. So if you see people that are watching your stories every day, they are warm and they are becoming hot leads. They are literally getting to know you more. And this is why stories is such an amazing platform, because it's really giving us that intimacy, like behind the scenes, and getting to show the day-to-day. So I recommend posting on stories every day, even if it's just one story, but showing what you're up to that day. Even if it's like the same consistent thing, it's good to show up in stories, because it moves your little avatar to the left so that people will check you out and maybe go to your feed. So after you are warming them up with stories, this is when they react to your stories, this is a hot lead, because it will open up a direct message. And as we know, direct messages is where conversion happens. Dialogue and conversation leads to sales. Okay, so your job here is to attract people by offering, high value, meaningful, and relatable content. Then you can nurture them when they're getting to know you. This is where you can share your brand stories. You've got to, create lifestyle content, educational content. You got to start engaging with them. And then finally, this is at the end of the funnel, where they've been engaging with you and they're commenting, and you're really building this relationship with them. You can start to convert them, meaning delivering them sales content, never on the first date, right? But after you've already nurtured them, you can start to sell to them. So this is more or less how it could work. So for example, let's say you attract people through your Instagram stories, you send them to your sales page. Okay, and then from your sales page, you can actually get on a call with them. Or if you don't get on a call with them, send them to your email list. So this is kind of an Instagram stories sales funnel by using stories. The whole purpose of you using stories is so that you can get them off of it, right? Get them to your website or a sales page, or your Shopify, or wherever you're hosting your store. And if they don't buy anything, make sure you incentivize them to leave their email list. Because again, we need to make sure we're staying in contact with our nurtured leads. All right. So this is all about sales, and we want to know, why is stories the best place to sell? Stories, this is where it's raw and real. This is where they can see who you really are on the day-to-day. It's very intimate, so we can really build our KLT, or otherwise known as like, know, and trust factor. It automatically opens our reactions to direct messenger. And if you do have over 10,000 followers, this is where you can swipe up. You can actually get the swipe up feature to direct your fans to your website. Because at the end of the day, we want to convert them on our sales pages. The swipe up feature, now, if you don't have over 10,000 fans, that's okay. You can still get the swipe up feature if you use IGTV, because what Instagram will allow you to do now is actually embed your website or your URL or your sales page into an IGTV. So you can create a branded IGTV video, get your fans to swipe up to your IGTV, and once they watch your IGTV, they can click to your website. In stories, it's also great because you can actually use the sticker button to qualify your leads. So you can already start polling them. Do you like this or do you like that? And find out, if they are actually a qualified client for you. So when you are on stories, remember, marketing is trying to be at somebody's top of mind position. So you want to talk about, your expertise and those content pillars in different ways. So if you're an artist, you might want to be talking about, your point of view on certain hot topics or certain stories that are important to you. Because this is how you build, repetition is how you get people to remember what you're all about. So if you want to be seen as an expert, you can focus on solving problems, doing mini trainings, how-tos, really providing value and repeating these in different ways, okay, in different modalities, because people need repetition. Like, it takes about 8 to 12 times for somebody to see your content to even think about ever buying something from you. And especially if they're high ticket items, like, for example, if you're selling consulting services or they're long-term engagements, it's going to take even more time, beyond 8 to 12 posts. So ideally, what you should be doing on your stories or on your social media is creating a temple of resources for your ideal client. So remember, when you're posting, it's not for yourself. It's actually for them to go to your Instagram or go to your stories and find all of these amazing resources that speaks to them, that's perfect for them to use, that they're going to find really helpful, and they're going to use your Instagram as literally a resource. So you notice how I say post for them, not for yourself. This is different when we are thinking like as an entrepreneur versus if we're thinking like an artist or as an influencer. The difference between the mindset of an entrepreneur and mindset of an artist is that an artist will just post for themselves, right? They're the artist, and whatever they feel like posting, they're going to post that day. But if you want to have a business mindset like an entrepreneur, you cannot just post to be posting and post whatever you want. You should be posting strategically and posting in a way that actually serves your client, because entrepreneurs, their main business on Instagram and social media is trying to help solve problems for their ideal clients. So try to see if you can leverage both, the mindset of an artist, of how they're able to engage and post emotional stories with the strategic sense of an entrepreneur. So try and mix both worlds. especially if you're trying to monetize your Instagram, you want to make sure that you're thinking and posting for your ideal client. You're not posting just for yourself. Okay? And this is my Instagram story highlights suggestion, right? For those of us that are in, have service-based businesses, you want to post in a 15-second highlight reel, what is the actual solution? So when I go to your Instagram, I need to know exactly what is the service that you actually provide, or what is the solution you actually give. If you're an artist, well, what it is that you actually create, what it is that you actually sell. Okay, I go to a lot of Instagram accounts and I have no idea what the heck they're actually selling, or what's the solution, and why I should even be following them. So make sure you have it really clear. These are my products, these are my services in the first story. Okay, this is if you want to optimize it for sales, which is why we're all listening here, right? So the second story you want to do is the target. You want to actually, again, shout out who your niche is, who your product is for, or show exactly who can benefit from using your products or services. So who is going to be showing exactly, it could be your past clients as well. Like, here, these are all the people that I've worked with. These are all my previous buyers, and this product is perfect for X. So you have to actually know what your niche is before you go and do the second story. The third story should be the why. Like, why do they actually need this, right? What value is it actually providing? Why is it important that they use your product or service? And what are the results? Do you have any social proof here? This is a great place to put in all of your testimonials, the case studies, to actually, or maybe anything that gives you social proof. So possibly any credentials. Maybe you've been featured in press, or you did a podcast, or you're featured in, another blog. You want to put your social proof there. So press or client results, client wins, successes. You want to really pump yourself up here. And for an artist, that might be, what your buyers say about your art, right? Like what it means to them. The fifth story that you should have in your highlights is your unique selling point, right? That's basically what makes you different. What makes you unique? Why should I do social media strategy with you versus somebody else? And then the last piece is, if you're comfortable with it, sharing your story, because sharing your story enables people to relate to you, and it makes you more memorable. When there are, a sea and mass of people out there, if you have a unique selling point and you have a unique story, you're going to be more memorable, and relatable. So make sure to be sharing don't shy away from sharing, your hero's journey with how you came to be. How did you even start this business? What gets you up in the morning? Why are you doing this? Why is this your business? Why do you do art? Why do you, sell XYZ service? Okay, so use this as a tool to figure out what actually is effective as your Instagram story highlights. For me right now, I put events that I'm being featured in, so people can see what events I'm participating in. I have an Instagram highlights of all of my testimonials, so people can see that I'm a reliable service provider. So when you're on Instagram stories and you are preparing to sell, you're preparing to convert your warm audience, or even like nurturing them, you want to make sure you're demonstrating your credibility by showcasing you're the expert in the field. So you're going to be sharing industry knowledge. What I said earlier, you could do mini trainings, how-tos, and these should be weekly, if not, daily. The more stories you share, the more opportunity you can have for inbound direct messaging. So here is the first story sales sequence. Okay, it's called the PADS formula. And the PADS formula utilizes your expertise. So what each sequence is first we share what the problem is that our ideal clients are having. So maybe you're a web designer and they are having problems converting their website into leads. The second is agitation, making the problem even bigger. Well, if you don't fix this problem, you're going to be losing more business and more leads. The third is to discredit any other tools or any other solutions they might have tried that don't work. So they might say, well, you probably tried, different web designers and it didn't work out for you. But if you work with us, here is our solution. Okay, so this is a formula that I'm going to now show you an example of how you could use this with direct to camera video. So the first part of the formula, the first sequence is identifying the problem. So this is where you really need to know your ideal client so that you can identify their pain points. So in this example, I'm also using the Instagram Stories polling feature to qualify them, to know if this is a potential hot lead or not. So here it goes. Here's where the first part of the sequence where I identify my client's problem.
Are you spending way too much time on Instagram and not getting the results you want?
So I'm speaking to my ideal client and I know they're spending too much time on Instagram. They're spending too much time on Instagram and they're not getting results. So if they say yes, they say yep. Yep means that I've identified their problem and they are struggling with this, which means that they could be my potential client. The second part of this sequence is agitation. This is when I present to them the worst case scenario.
The worst thing is all your competitors are growing and you're just leaving money on the table.
And you notice how with every direct to camera video sequence, I do have some piece of copy, because sometimes people are listening to watching these stories without audio. So it's good to give some context to what you're talking about in your story if you're doing these direct to camera. The third element in this pad sales sequence is discrediting. Okay, so now here you list out all the solutions that they might have tried but don't actually work.
You tried engagement pods, you tried Facebook ads, and none of it is working, mainly because you don't have your organic strategy in place.
And then the fourth element is the solution. Here at the end, this is where you're going to actually deliver them what your solution is. And this is where you're really giving value. So here is my solution for spending too much time on Instagram, essentially.
Your organic content strategy should include dialogue, relatability, authenticity, giving value, opinion, and niche, the 6 core elements of the Dragons formula. If you want to learn more about my organic method, swipe up.
So at the end here, I also give a call to action. The call to action, I'm telling them if they're interested in the solution, swipe up, and that's where I direct them to my landing page or to my email list, probably to the actual course. Okay, so I want you to, I know that you guys should have all downloaded the workbook. So I allowed some space in the workbook that you can actually write down your own pads, your own pad sales sequence. So the first one is, this is an example that I am using, because you can, what you can do is you can always start by creating these sales sequences for Instagram stories by writing them down first. And usually they should be, very simple, not very complex sentences, so that people will understand very clearly what you're talking about. So in a second example, um, I say the problem is not generating sales from your website. And I agitate the problem a little bit more. I say, you've invested so much time and resources and you have no idea what the root cause is. And 3, I discredit all the solutions they may have tried, right? You probably resorted to hiring from Fiverr and Upwork, but the fourth sequence is, this is our solution. Here is how we fix the issue for our clients. We use our blank method, or whatever your solution is. So you can use this formula for selling products, services, as long as you understand your ideal client. Okay, you have to really understand them. You'll be able to attract their attention. So that's pads. The second formula I'm going to teach you now is PPPP. Okay, this stands for picture, promise, prove, and push. So in your worksheet, I want you to think about what your business is and start relating to your ideal client, and start writing down what your picture for your ideal clients are. What is the promise that you're making your ideal clients? Do you have any proof that you are the person that they should work with? And then finally, what is your pitch? What is your push? What are you actually selling them? Okay. So here's another example. If you're not comfortable with direct to camera video, you can use text, you can use graphics, you can use animation, video design, whatever it is, but you must communicate what the PPPP is. So the first part of the PPP formula is painting a vision. So you want to make sure that you understand your ideal client so much that you know exactly what their wet dreams and night sweats are. So their wet dreams are things that they're dying to have, right? The future that they want, the transformation they want, what it is that they want to achieve. So here's my example. I say, imagine this. You can sell out your courses and products just from posting on Instagram. You can wake up to hundreds of PayPal and Stripe payments, and your direct messages are filled with clients begging to work with you. This is a dream for many people that are trying to start their businesses online. So you paint a picture for what they're trying to achieve. The second thing you do is you actually share what your promise is to get to their dream, to get to their desired outcome. So my promise to you is learn how to grow and optimize your social media accounts, whether business or personal. So that's my promise to you. So you'll learn how to attract your dream clients. You can grow and convert your followers into fans. And then I tell you, what I promise you. I promise you, if you join me in my incubator, you're going to get, this package. The third P is all the proof. So on Domestika, I have over 2,000 reviews. So that's a lot of content. I have a lot of social proof to, prove that my course has really helped people. So what kind of social proof can you gather? Can you start collecting? And can you start sharing in your sales sequence? So also case studies, data, client successes, it works equally as well here. So you want to be showing them that. And then the fourth one is your actual pitch. So here you want to pitch whatever, my workshop or your landing page, buy tickets, whatever it is that you're going to offer, whatever your solution is. Here you ask for the call to action. So that's PPPP. So in your workbook, I want you to, write down your own PPP example. For another example, in the first picture, you could say, what if you could ... Okay. The second is your promise. So our agency has helped hundreds of blah, 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 do whatever it is your promise is. The third is your social proof, and you can share about a past client success story. One of our clients was able to do this, with our services and our products and our solution. And then the fourth one is asking for that call to action, but also providing what it is, like what is your actual offer in the pitch. So make sure you deliver your pitch and as an offer and ask them to take an action. So that is PPPP. Let me know if you guys have any questions so far before we move to the last part. The last sequence that I'll show you today is the famous AIDA example. So the AIDA example is something that I teach in the Instagram Strategy for Business Growth course. This is a timeless formula. I did not invent this. It was invented in like the 1800s or the 1900s by master marketers. So the AIDA is basically stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. The first, getting their attention with a bold headline. The second is, driving more interest with something unusual or counterintuitive info, something that, makes their mind more attentive to what you're saying. And then the third element is actually emphasizing what their true desire is before asking them to take an action. So this is AIDA. You can get this formula in the Instagram Strategy for Business Growth course. We go into very detail on how you can apply this formula in an Instagram carousel. And you can also apply this formula in Instagram stories. So those were the three formulas. And the whole purpose of me showing you those sequences on Instagram stories is so that you can get in the DMs. So use direct messages. Direct messenger is where conversations happen, and conversations is what leads to conversion, and that's where sales happens. So I encourage you to really build meaningful relationships in direct messenger. This is probably the most important thing that you could be doing on social media, right? Is really building meaningful relationships. Stop focusing on the vanity metrics and getting more followers. Focus on deep, more meaningful niche relationships, and you will be very successful with social media. So some ways that you can actually use the DMs is by really offering value in these conversations when you do get people to respond, because I guarantee you guys, actually what I want you to do is try out the three formulas that are in the workbook that I just shared with you today. Make sure you tag me at @lung in the stories so I can give you any feedback. But if you use these formulas, I guarantee you're going to have people reply to it. Like, it works that well. As long as you follow the sequencing and really know your ideal client and understand what their pain points and desires are, you are going to get reactions. And if you don't, send me a DM and I'll take a look and see why you haven't been getting any inbound. So once you do get the direct message, you want to make sure you're giving value. Even in the direct message, you're coming from a place of servitude. How can you contribute to them in this conversation? Okay, so something very valuable that you can do is having a conversation and really engage and learn about your fans. Like, try and get to know them. Like, this is a real human that's actually liking your content, that's responding to your stories. And what are you going to do? Like, not reply? That's just rude, right? Like, you wouldn't do that in real life unless you are rude. So I don't want you to be, I only want to teach you the best etiquette, because, as social dragons, we want to make sure that we are always, we are polite and we have good manners on social media. So if somebody comments on your content, the least of what you can do is actually acknowledge that. So make sure you acknowledge and you reply. And if you want to take it an even step further and really build relationship, start a conversation. So make sure you start conversations with people that are engaging with your content. And I have a simple script that you can use. Okay. Humanize yourself. We are on these digital platforms all the time, and the more human you can be, the more you'll stand out. So make sure you can use video, you use voice, engage them with weird and intriguing questions. And always remember, social media isn't about you. Okay, unless they ask about you, then you're free to explain, but you really want to learn more about them, because the more you learn about them, the more you're going to know what makes them alive, and how can you actually pique their interest and sell to them if you know them more. So make sure, when you're out there in the DMs, introduce yourself. The most important thing here is listening and asking the right questions. You want to do, mostly listening and asking. And then you can offer them value. You can offer them maybe a free ebook. Maybe you want to offer them a discount if they're interested in what you have to offer. You can offer so many different things to, show your gratitude and interest in another human being. And that's what DM is all about, because this is where you're relationship building and really keeping them in mind. Some of the best sales people are people that actually really care about you. I heard this story from like a sales professional, and they were teaching like why are why did why does this one specific car salesman, there's a car salesman, okay, at the car dealership, and he was like the top producer. He got the most sales. And what was his trick? What was his strategy? Why did he perform so much better than all of his other peers? Is because he was able to really constantly be in connection and conversation with all of his potential clients. And he would actually call every year, like on your birthday or on your anniversary, and start a conversation and just making sure that you are doing okay, just as, as a good person. And this goodwill led to incredibly more sales, right? So all of this relationship building, all of these conversations, as long as it's real and meaningful, it will build your relationship, and people will start to trust you more, and you will be at top of mind the next time that they want to buy a car or whatever it is that you're selling. They're going to think of you because you've kept this relationship going. You remember them. You've had, genuine, meaningful conversation. And this is how I was able to close $100,000 in one conversation just on Instagram sales. So it is possible. And it's really about having these meaningful conversations and building relationships, at least for high ticket sales. So in conclusion, I want you all to be building meaningful relationships. This is why we are on social media networks, to meet other people that come, that think like us or not, but building relationships with new friends and new people to welcome them into our community. Because at the end of the day, your Facebook and Instagram, it's just rented land, and nothing can take away a meaningful relationship. But we can take, your fans and your vanity metrics can all disappear. But if you really had these relationships, that doesn't go away, right? And the reason why these relationships are important, because the easiest way to sell is actually via an introduction. So your goal essentially should be to get as many introductions as possible. And that's one of my tricks and my secrets is, like, if I actually needed to get more business, I would ask my past clients for introductions, or people in my community for introductions to new clients. So this is why relationships are the most powerful, and you can build an entire business only with relationship marketing. And I do want to emphasize that, outreach is a lot of work, okay? This is not easy to be building relationships. You need to focus on your craft, but if you want to generate more revenue and more sales, it's necessary to get out there and sell. That's how you bring home the bacon, right? You've got to put in the work, you got to do the reps to get the results that you want. And I see too many people with amazing Instagram, amazing social media, and such as influencers, okay? These influencers with hundreds of thousands of fans, but they don't do any sales and they're not generating revenue, and they're just broke influencers. So for me, that's like a complete waste of an engaged audience, or building that audience, if you're not out there selling and pitching brands and doing the sales work, doing the outreach, and building these relationships. So you can really change your entire business with just sales outreach. And one of my friends taught me this. He says, listen more than you talk. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so use it proportionally. I know I've been doing a lot of talking tonight, but I hope that you are able to, learn something, 1 or 2 things from me today. And remember to ask the right questions. When you're in these sales conversations, ask good questions, because this is how you keep the conversation going. Okay. And then selling is about really understanding your client. So throw in a little empathy. Your client doesn't actually need to buy anything, right? Like, if you can add value to how you're serving them, and like making them, building that relationship, they're going to want to buy from you naturally. It's not going to be really hard to convert them when they're ready to buy. So just understand exactly what their needs are. And when you empathize with them, you will be able to understand how you can actually better help them. How can you be a better service provider? Because in social media, or even in real life, you're actually selling your products and services to a person. It's not necessarily a company. When you are out there pitching and you're selling in these DMs, it's a person. So you want to use as much empathy as possible, because at the end, this is a little harsh, but nobody actually really cares about your products unless it's going to give them value. And giving them value means it needs to make them look good. It needs to help them save time, make money, or really bring them to the next level and give them the transformation that they need. So that was the end of my sales presentation. If you want to see the tools that I use for story creation, recently I'm turned on to this new app called Impresso. This is how I am able to get all of my animations and build these sales story sequences. So definitely go check Impresso app out. And I want you to get ready I want you to get set and start selling in 2021. Write down for me, what are some of your sales goals? And feel free to DM this to me and see how I can help you get there. Okay. The second thing I want you to remember is never sell on the first date. Okay. Never ask somebody to buy something from you. Don't DM people to buy something from you, because we all hate that spam, right? So stop doing that. The third thing to remember is to always be serving. Okay. Always be serving your ideal clients. Always be working from a place of servitude. And the fourth is I want you to unleash the dragon. So start practicing the dragon's formula. Start using these sales sequences. Start implementing them today in your story strategy. And I can't wait to hear from you. So take action. Set your sales goals. What does it look like for the end of the month? How many products and services do you need to be selling? And I love you. I believe in you. Let's be friends. Connect with me at .lung. I'd love, love, love to hear from you. And please let me know how I can support you in the future. I have a new Domestika course coming out very, very soon. It's all about social media strategy for your personal brand. So I hope to see you inside. So without further ado, thank you so much, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. If we have some time, I'll be happy to take any questions. And if not, it's been an awesome. Great. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll be happy to take any questions that you have on Instagram sales, any advice that you might need. We have a few minutes here. So I see World of Knowledge is tuning in from Pakistan. How's it going? Gabriel, thank you so much. Thank you to 952 Design. Thank you, Wendeline Castillo. Thanks, Eric, for tuning in. Anna Powell, I'm so glad you're going to be tagging me. Yes, please tag me, you guys. And if you're using any of these sequences, tag me and I'll give you my feedback. And yeah, I think that's it, you guys. I think those are all the questions. If you ever need any help, you can find me on Instagram. I'm also in the Domestika forum. Okay, I'm reviewing all of your work inside the forum, and yeah. Okay, so we have two questions here. Emergente says, can we overdo the stories? I'm afraid people will lose interest. So apparently you can post 100 stories a day. And there is such thing as oversharing. I think when you share, you have to have a purpose of why you're sharing it. So you can check your analytics to see if people are falling off, like if they aren't engaging, if they're not replying, if they're just tapping to the next. But I do believe more stories is better than less stories, right? So if Instagram lets you post 100 stories, well, you have an opportunity to create an interesting story. But if it's not interesting, like if it's not engaging, don't overdo it. So that's why these sequences come in 4. I think 4 is a minimum amount of stories, like in a sequence, to get your message across. Even if you dive into Instagram story advertising, it also allows you to do 3 stories to promote 3 stories at a time. So essentially, Instagram believes that 3 stories is like the ideal amount of time. So I think 3 to 5 story in a sequence is interesting. If you do more than that, I really hope it's a Hollywood movie or something, which there is a really great example of a campaign that was done here in Israel that they actually showed 100 stories a day, and it was actually literally an Instagram movie. Okay, it was I can't think of the name right now, but if you DM me, I will send you the Instagram account to where they created an entire movie with just Instagram stories from the point of view, of a millennial, not a millennial, a point of view of a girl that was that had Instagram stories during the Holocaust. Okay, it was a very emotional story, but it was beautifully executed, and they maxed out all the Instagram stories. But it's a really great example and case study to show you how you can create amazing stories and storytelling and sequences with Instagram stories. So one question is, should one try to seek uniform style on Instagram? So I believe in being truly authentic, and I did used to, need to have my feed be pixel perfect. I think we're moving away from perfectly curated Instagram feeds to having more of a mixed media. And for me, because I post a lot of things like truly live and just in directo and non-edited, that's my authentic style. But if your authentic style is to have the everything matching because that's your personality, which it is also my personality. So sometimes I still do it for fun, right? But I think you don't have to, it doesn't have to be, you shouldn't focus on that. Like, as a matter of fact, the uniform style thing, like, you should never focus on that. Your focus should be on creating content that has substance. So focus on the substance of the content, not really how it looks. Because I know plenty of marketers and many people that they don't have like the prettiest feed or the prettiest content, but the substance is very good. The learning, the lessons, the actual content is very good. So that's a lot more important than keeping a uniform feed. But if you are like a brand and you're selling design, which I see you are, 952 Design, like you might want to have some sort of strategy, using a selection of different brand colors that are all in the similar hue or palette, so that it still looks coherent and cohesive, but it doesn't need to be very, very strict, right? You can use a bunch of different colors, but they all fit together. So it's not the most important thing, but it does look cool. Like, I think it's basically, if you're a designy artistic person, it's important for us, right? Because we like things to look nice. But yes, make it look nice, but don't focus all of your energy on that. Barbara wants to know, do you tag the links on stories? Which tool do you recommend? So tagging, so you're able to tag, I believe, 10 other handles on stories. So if you want somebody to reshare your story, you do want to tag them in the story. And also you're able to use hashtags, I think up to 10 hashtags as well. You can double check that. But if you want your stories to come up in the discovery, you need to use those trending hashtags that you want to be appearing in. Maybe use the location, maybe use a specific niche, one niche hashtag, one more wider hashtag. And I'll be honest with you, the content is more important than the hashtags. So don't overthink it. If a hashtag comes to mind, use it, or just lose it, right? Just focus on making meaningful content, and the hashtags, they're important. They get, if you need to have a strong hashtag strategy if your content is not that interesting. But if your content's interesting, it's going to surface anyways, right? It's going to, your viewers are going to engage with it. So that gives Instagram, the data to say, oh, this content was interesting, right? So There's a whole Instagram hashtag strategy, and I do see in the future it's going to be less relevant because now Instagram has enabled like an SEO feature, so it can actually search keywords very well now. And hashtags will be relevant if you're following a specific hashtag. So, like, if I want to follow like sushi in New York, right? Because I want to know about that. If I want to know about sushi in New York, I will follow this specific hashtag. So, what you want to think when you're thinking about your hashtags is what hashtags is my ideal client following? What are their interests? So you need to know your ideal client avatar very well, so um, you know exactly what hashtags they're following, and so your content can appear on their feed under that hashtag, even if they're not following you. So Maria del Rosario, she's from Argentina. She wants to know, what do you think a good approach is for small hotels? So the hospitality industry is a great place to actually engage, depending on where most of your clients come from. I'm assuming there you have local travelers, local tourism within Argentina, and then you have international, right? So let me know, Maria, where, if it's a small hotel, are you focused on local tourism? Or is it like a boutique hotel and it's a very niche type of boutique hotel and you're seeking international travelers? But from what it looks like, if you are a a mom and pop hotel, I would focus on really doing collaborations with your local community. So, where in Argentina is your hotel? Depending on what city it is in, I would think about how you and the other local business owners in the hospitality industry can actually collaborate together and create content, create promotions. How can you engage the local community? And then how can you collaborate with, travel influencers in Argentina um, if this is more, if if you are trying to attract Argentinian tourists, you should work with Argentinian influencers. So let me know, Maria, if that makes sense. Um, Also, what's worked great for small hotels when I was working, with a community-based organization, I would really recommend you to reach out to local Argentinian communities. Maybe you can take a look at for national tourists and some international tourists. Great. So the hotel business lives off of events that are happening, right? So they could be like weddings or conferences, at least back pre-COVID, that's how it worked. So you can get more traffic into your hotel is if you're targeting event organizers, if you're targeting, and what I mean by targeting is building relationships. Build relationships with event organizers, with um, community leaders. So there are community leaders that you can find maybe in Facebook groups. You can find them on meetup.com. Find out where are these community leaders having their event, and you can actually invite these community leaders to have the event in your hotel. So as a hotel business, you're in the hospitality industry, you should be inviting as many people to your hotel as possible. Think about what type of events, what type of people you want to niche down in, and then dive really deep into this sector. Like maybe you want to be hosting startup events and startup people, so then you can be known as like, oh, this is the hotel for startup entrepreneurs, or this is like the hotel for female, female yoga people. So think about like all the different types of niches that you can get into, and start talking to the community leaders and seeing how you guys can collaborate. Because for your hotel brand name to get out, you need to have as many people, as much traffic as possible, and as much visibility first within your local community, right? Because your local community is going to be everything, because when like your grandma or your grandpa needs to come visit you in your town, like you need to recommend the local hotels that even your local community needs to know. So always start local before you go global, right? So really build up your brand and reputation locally, and that brand reputation and those case studies and those testimonials is actually what's really going to take you to the next level internationally, or in a different, to the next level. So Maria, I hope that made sense. Definitely go check out meetup.com. So now it's a kind of a weird time because we're not having events, but so my example was when I actually ran Ladies Wine and Design. So I ran a community called Ladies Wine and Design in Barcelona. It's actually a global event. So you might want to reach out to community leaders that run these monthly events and collaborate and sponsor their communities to, have their events in your hotels, and that's going to get you more traffic through the door. So Ian Gu, well, he is, oh, okay, you guys, we are at time. So Ian wants to know how to create a nice, memorable content for a fashion brand to sell handmade kimonos. So if you are the designer behind the brand, I recommend you to start telling your brand story of why you got into kimono design, why you want to create this, what it means, what does creating this brand mean to you. Show your entrepreneurial journey, show your journey, build your personal brand. Too many of us make a mistake, and myself as well, is that we want to build this, fashion brand or, this agency, and we are focusing on, building a company brand before we built our personal brand. So if you are the main salesperson, the main spokesperson, and you are the main, face behind your business, so freelancers and artists, like we're the main face. So we should be building our personal brands, and then, leveraging that to launch your corporate brand, unless you are like a Fortune 500 kimono business company, right? So I'm assuming, that you don't have resources like a Fortune 500 business where they're spending millions of dollars on advertising. This is the difference, right? Because us as entrepreneurs, like we don't have, unless you're backed by tons and tons of capital, you really have to use social media in a startup way. So if you want to leverage social media in a startup way, build your personal brand. And this is why I'm teaching how to create a social media strategy for your personal brand in my up and coming Domestika course. And I want to thank you once again for all of you amazing people all around the world. Thank you so much for your attention. We've been on now for an hour and a half, and it's time to say goodbye. So thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are from, and hope to see you again soon. Bye, everybody.
La idea es como algo muy frágil.
Fue la hebra.
I'm going to show you some examples. This is what we've got behind me.
¿Qué más preguntas tengo por aquí? ¿Cómo descubriste que los